Okay, we can get ready for our Health and Human Services Committee meeting. Can we please get a roll call?
Alderwoman Spencer.
Present.
Alderwoman Ingracia. Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Green.
Present.
Alderwoman Martin. Alderwoman Navarro.
Present.
Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Present.
Alderwoman Rice.
Present.
Alderman Todd.
Present.
Chairman Arnowitz.
Present.
7 present. You have quorum.
Thank you. So I think the first order of business is we need to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
But we need to make a correction on there though. On line 1 on call to order, it says 1:40 a.m.
Got it.
It should be 11:40.
Okay.
And, yeah. So,
10:40 or 11:40? 11:40.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So with making that correction, a motion has been made to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Alderwoman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Ingracia. Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Green.
Aye.
Alderwoman Martin. Alderwoman Navarro.
Aye.
Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Aye.
Alderwoman Rice.
Aye.
Alderman Todd.
Aye.
Chairman Arnowitz.
Aye.
I'm sorry, that's 7 aye votes.
Thank you. And actually that meeting was at 10:30. I'm sorry.
I just double checked our calendar.
I got some smart people on my committee. This morning we're here meeting on Board Bill number 129, and I think we have Ms. Valerie Russell from the Health Department here. And what this bill is, it's a grant from Family and Community Trust in the amount of $35,000, and it's from the No Kid Goes Hungry, Missouri, Summer Special Grant Program to expend these funds after-school meal programs and summer food service programs for the kids, correct?
That's correct.
So, Ms. Russell, if there's anything you want to let us know about it,
I'd be happy to. And just as a correction, I'm with the Department of Human Services, not the Health
my
Department.
apologies.
That's quite all right. They typically lump us together as Health and Human Services. The reason that we are here is the Family and Community Trust Fund in early 2018 approached our department because we administer the Child and Adult Care Food Program and the Summer Food Service Program. The Family and Community Trust has staff who are working on a national project called No Kid Hungry, and their staff is responsible for trying to build capacity within the state of Missouri for organizations who receive funds that are federal dollars through the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services for year-round meals, which include breakfast, snack, and lunch or supper. Those are provided during the school year to daycare centers and after-school programs, as well as increase the capacity during the summer months under the federally funded Summer Food Service Program. When I was contacted by the No Kid Hungry staff, they indicated that they were going to have funds unspent from the 2018-2019 funding year and asked if they could talk with us about putting some money our way to increase the capacity of the city to do certain things. I approached the Department of Recreation within the Parks Department because the Recreation Division is the only entity that does dedicated youth programs that the city has some control over. All of the other programs that participate are those that are voluntarily participating with us. They have their own funding for whatever youth programs they provide, and they have the option to serve the meals or not. But we wanted to make certain that the recreation centers were seen as a place where kids could come get food, even if they didn't have an activity that they were coming to. The No Kid Hungry staff came to the city twice. We did a tour of all of the recreation centers and met with the staff, looked at the kitchen facilities to determine if they actually had equipment that would help them to store the food that was going to be provided to them. 6 of the 7 recreation centers were identified. Those were 12th and Park, Cherokee Center, Gamble, Marquette, Tandy, and Wool. Within those centers, some of them have refrigerators that are pretty old. They might be refrigerators with a freezer on top, but it doesn't have the space capacity to store meals. They may not have had heating equipment, storage units that kept food warm, or microwaves that were large enough, or ovens that were functioning. So what we did was asked if we could use whatever money that we might request to purchase equipment. And they said that would be a good use of the funds. So we submitted a grant application, and with the participation of the Recreation Division, gave them some idea of what kind of equipment we would be purchasing. So the funds and the application were approved. The money, as I said, was under the 2018-2019 state funds, so they had to send those funds already. We received those funds in July, and the Comptroller's Office has them resting in an unnamed account until we get the board bill approved, and we can identify a center. And that's a fund, a center, and account under the Comptroller's accounting network. Where we are with this right now is those six centers that I named will meet with us and the supply division to make some decisions about what type of equipment would be purchased for those. The supply division would release an RFP to secure bids for the types of equipment that are needed. In addition to equipment use, however, the money indicated that we could purchase equipment associated with service and storage. We could do marketing and promotion of the project, which would assist the Recreation Division to let the community know that anybody, any kid who is eligible under that federal program could eat. Or, if needed, we could hire and train additional staff to provide the support for the meal program. Right now, where we are with those 6 centers, we have a required application that each of those centers has to complete that our office reviews, and we submit it to the state of Missouri because our department has the contract with Health and Senior Services. All 3 or 6 of those have been approved. 2 of them are currently operating. Until we get the approval for the new equipment, they're just providing snack rather than what's called a dinner meal. So what the approval of the board bill will do is allow us to move forward, notify the Comptroller's Office that we have the authority to spend the money, and we will be meeting with Director Hayes and Evelyn Rice Peoples in the Recreation Division to do another more thorough determination about the size and the type of equipment. One of the sites also doesn't have counter space sufficient enough to even move the meals from refrigerator to the counters or a space to hand the meals out. So there are very strict regulations on how those meals have to be distributed to the kids. We will work through all of that, and with your help in getting this board bill passed, we can move forward.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Russell, and I'll just go down the list here with aldermen and alderwomen if they have any questions, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
Alderwoman Spencer?
I have no questions at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Alderwoman Tyus?
Hey Valerie,
Hi, how are you doing?
So when I first moved to St. Louis, this was the first program I worked for several years. It's a wonderful program. It's much needed. I didn't like some of the rules because you had to, if a child ate part of a meal, you had to throw it away. But I did explain to people that it didn't have to be thrown away in a dirty trash can. But I know what you do already. I've been familiar with this program for a lot of 30 years or more. It is a wonderful program. I would like to ask the chair to please put my name on it. It's an honor for me to have worked for the program and now come back here and help support it.
Well, thank you, and just so that you know, the Department of Agriculture has relaxed some of those regulations so that if a meal is not completely eaten, it has to be served. But if the kid doesn't like the banana, or he doesn't want the chocolate milk, or whatever component, we have the ability to put it on a share table,
Okay.
and so other kids can pick that up.
Makes much more sense,
Yes.
because they had to throw it away back when I worked there,
Right.
and that really didn't make a lot of sense, but
No,
people
it
did.
doesn't.
Once you didn't have to put it in a dirty trash can, just have a clean trash can, and
Right.
then it's been thrown away. But that makes much more sense, because a lot of times kids just want another apple or another banana, something like that, so
Exactly.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderwoman Green?
Thank you. No questions, but I'd also like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Navarro?
Thank you. I think this sounds wonderful. I have a little bit of experience with CACFP, working with some providers in the past, and I'm also familiar with some of the rigorous rules that at least were there before. Just one question I have about the refrigerators. In these cases, would we be providing a refrigerator where there wasn't one before in any of these cases, or would it mostly be
Cases we're
upgrading?
replacing.
Okay.
Some of the sites have refrigerators, but they're not large enough. So say the site, for example, Wold Center anticipates 100 meals per day. That's the meal and the beverage. They don't have refrigeration to hold that many components. So we're looking at refrigerator freezer combinations, or one very large refrigerator, two-door. So
Great. I think there's probably an opportunity here when we're upgrading to probably get something that's a little more energy efficient.
Exactly.
Is what I mean, if there wasn't a refrigerator in the past, I could see that this would be in addition to the electric bill and that sort of thing. But, yeah, I just hope that we can, move towards something that will hopefully maybe lower utility bills for some of these sites as well.
I can assure you that the supply division will make sure that's part of the narrative in the RFP.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I
You're welcome.
learned a lot from this presentation, so thanks for all your work. And can one more question. How did the Family and Community Trust Fund, do you work with them regularly, or how did they decide, hey, let's approach St. Louis and see if they could use these funds?
So the state staff has worked with our department for about 3 years as it relates to promotion of the meal programs, both the year-round and the summer. 2 years ago, we co-sponsored an event in the Annie Malone Parade where we set up and paid for an area off the parade route where families could come and have samples of the food that was being served, and we had giveaways and a bounce house and some other things, and we gave out information to parents so that they know when the program was going to be operated and where, as well as provide information to potential sites who wanted to feed kids. So we've been working with them for a couple of years.
Great, wonderful. Thank you. No more questions. Oh, and please add me as a co-sponsor.
Okay, thank you, Alderwoman. Alderwoman Middlebrook.
I have no questions at this time.
Alderwoman Rice.
Thank you so much. Just one question, 35,000 is a good number, but how far are you thinking this is going to go as far as these centers?
So if we can spend the funds in an appropriate manner, and I'm sure we will, then it's our intent to go back again for additional dollars. The original offer was for 50,000.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why the state made a decision they were going to reduce that to 35, but we didn't want to look a gift horse in the mouth.
Sure.
So we're going to use what they've given us now and then do another application once we have these things in place and we can show them the numbers.
Sure. Sure. Okay. So, so the 35 that you have now, you're thinking it'll address the equipment needs at maybe 2 or 3 of these centers, 1?
According to the estimates that we've done, and that was just going on the internet and looking at pricing for different pieces of equipment, we will be able to put something in each of those 6.
Okay,
Whether
okay.
it's a refrigerator or a warming cart or
Great.
counter space, whatever it is, it's our intent to do something at each of the centers.
Great. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this. I think it's a great opportunity, and I would love to be added as a co-sponsor.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Todd.
I don't have any questions at this time.
Thank you.
Mr.
Alderwoman Christine, I wanted to wait so you had time to divulge this bill.
Good morning, nice to see you.
You too.
This is great, I think it's really important. And if you covered this, I apologize, you don't have to answer.
All right.
How are you going to market the summer meal program?
So the summer meal program is a separate funding, and we don't begin marketing that for the kids who are going to eat until the schools tell us when they're going to let out for the summer. In terms of trying to recruit sites, we begin around March to identify and communicate with those sites who have participated in previous years. We have always, and I can say that because I personally send the emails to every alderman that we have within the city to let them know that they have the opportunity to communicate within their ward that these meals can be available at no cost, and that during the summer program, there are no federal requirements that deal with bathrooms and sinks or any of that. In fact, during the summer, any kid can eat. They don't have to be a part of a program. So if there are parks within your wards, or there are block units or very strong community groups within your ward who would agree to volunteer to serve kids, we can have the meals delivered. You could serve them at the time that you wanted at no cost. So we will again go through that process of notifying aldermen. Last year, we spent...
I'm sorry, I don't mean, I think I maybe phrased the question incorrectly. I appreciate all the work you do for the summer meals program. We are able to take advantage of it at Fox
have,
Park,
yeah.
which has been exceptional. I'm just curious because it sounds like there's going to be an increased ability and capacity to do lunches with these upgrades, and so in the places like Booter Rec Center.
The rec centers?
Right.
So the rec centers are in the hands of Park and Recreation, and we will work with Evelyn and Greg Jones and Greg Hayes to make certain that all of their centers are beginning the process of notifying people that the meals are being served.
Okay.
How they get that information out,
You won't
I
do
don't
it
have
together
that.
with the summer meals program?
I am hesitant to step in to promote a program at the recreation center without having had a conversation with them about what that's going to look like. We promote the summer meal program by providing a list, and we put it on the city's website, and we send that information out electronically about where all of the sites are and when they are feeding and what meals are being served.
Okay.
That's our role, and it's required within the federal guidelines.
Okay, if I can be helpful in facilitating any conversations, I think it would make a lot of sense for that to work together somehow so that all of the information is in one place.
Right, and so what I was going to share with you, last year we identified some funds within our departments that were utilized to do radio spots. And what was it, 102.5, iHeartMedia served as a sponsor for the campaign that was implemented. So we only had $4,000. They did everything else gratis. So they did remote broadcasting at the recreation centers on certain days to let people know that they could come that day for the meals and every other day. They had spots on their social media networks, and they were sending out, and I don't have the language with me right now, but every day they would send out a blast about the fact that the meals were being served and where, and the focus was really on the recreation centers and all of the other sites. So while we don't have anyone in our department who deals with marketing, I think iHeartRadio is really interested in serving as a sponsor and expanding that sponsorship for the coming summer.
Great, thanks for your work on this. I would also like to be a co-sponsor.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Does anyone else have any more questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did have a question. I know you listed the centers audibly. I don't see them here. Can you list them again for us, those
Waltham
sites?
Park, Cherokee, Gamble, Marquette, Tandy, and Lowell.
Great, that's all I had. I wanted to make sure that Marquette Rec was in there. We really do utilize the summer program, and it's so helpful for our community. So
Well, thank you.
we really appreciate your service to our
And while
neighborhoods.
it's not under these, the city's administrative jurisdiction, O'Fallon Recreation Center and Carondelet also participate.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. Anyone else have any follow-up questions? If not, I will entertain a motion to pass Board Bill 129 out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
So moved?
Second?
Previous roll? Oh, no.
No. Objection, previous roll.
Who seconded?
We don't have a previous roll anyway, because we just have,
Oh, I don't know, 3 people seconded it.
oh, you did the minutes? Okay.
Alderwoman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderwoman Ingracia. Alderwoman Tyus.
Aye.
Alderwoman Green.
Aye.
Alderwoman Martin. Alderwoman Navarro. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Alderwoman Rice. Alderman Todd. Chairman Arnowitz.
Aye.
It's 9 aye votes.
Thank you very much, and want to thank the committee again for being here. It's very helpful when we get a quorum, so thank you. Let's look forward to getting this through the board and get that money for the kids.
Thank you. And I'm going to leave my card here if anyone has any questions.
Excuse Sarah Martin, she sent me a message. We need to make a motion and we adjourn the meeting.
I move that we adjourn the Health and Committee, whatever, and so on, and so forth.
Made a motion, second? Second. Okay.
Second.
Meeting adjourned, thank you.